how is Israel, in this case, justified in a very brutal war of offense and retaliation, and we're helping to escalate the whole situation?
Yeah, so I don't think there have ever been clearly defined Palestinian borders. I think that entire issue has been incredibly complicated. We can get more into the borders if you want. In terms of supporting Israel right now for the particular fight against the Palestinians, I would say their fight against Hamas is probably a justified one. I don't think literally anybody in the region wants Hamas there. I don't think Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Israel wants Hamas there. I think that at the end of the day, if any sort of negotiated situation is to be reached between Israel and Palestine, they need somebody to negotiate with, and it can't be with Hamas. It just can't be with essentially a terrorist government that just wants the destruction of Israel. That can't be the case. So once Hamas is removed, I mean, then the question of, who does Israel negotiate with afterwards has to be answered. And I think that's a tough one, especially because Israel, especially under Netanyahu, I don't think really want to negotiate with Palestinians. I think they do want to annex parts of the West Bank like Area C and just kind of continue their slow expansionism, especially. Yeah, I think Netanyahu would absolutely want to do that. But I think in terms of right now, their conflict with Hamas, I think everybody in the region agrees that no Hamas is good for everybody there, both Israel and the Palestinians.
How can we expect Netanyahu to facilitate a reasonably strong peace if, when we give him support, what we get back is a lot of right-wing influence through AIPAC that's pushing out progressives across the country and that sort of dissent, and in his own country, he's cracking down? How can we expect him not to continue to escalate and for us to continue to give aid to him?
I think that once Hamas is gone, I feel like the United States should pressure Netanyahu into some sort of negotiated settlement. The problem is what that looks like right now is just really, really, really hard, because for a long time, it feels like Palestinians haven't been as interested in negotiating like a two-state settlement. Whether you're talking about peace deal shot down in 2000 or peace deal shot down in 2008, it feels like Palestinians have been more geared to continue fighting Israel, or at least the solution that they want is not a two-state one, but either, it doesn't seem to be like a two-state one right now. So, if in terms of like actually mediating a solution to that, the problem is there are so many players involved, and there'd be so much political will exhausted on this that I don't think Americans care that much. But to have a real peace deal set out here, you would have to make Netanyahu, you'd have to make the right-wing government chill a lot on things like settlements and pushing for settlements. You'd have to bring Iran into some sort of deal where they stop funding all of this oppositional movement to Israel. You'd probably have to involve players like Egypt and Saudi Arabia so that they're also involved, because it might be, for a while I heard that Saudi Arabia was considering mediating some sort of new government in Palestine, that they would take head of in order to negotiate with Israel. It's a really complicated situation. I think that Israel's mission to destroy Hamas is good, but I do agree that after that happens, there needs to be a lot of pressure on Israel to negotiate some sort of peace agreement, but that pressure has to be on both sides. And I feel like it's historically been the case that Palestinians get hyped up so much from everybody else overseas that wants to see them fight, and then they fight and they get crushed and they lose even more every single time. That pressure for the Palestinians to fight has to disappear as well. And I think once that's alleviated, and if the United States wants to pressure Netanyahu and that right-wing government, and if other players in the region can also stop using Israel and Palestine as a battleground for their own proxy conflicts, meaning Iran and Saudi Arabia, then at that point you will start to have peace talks. But man, it just feels like there's so many conditions that need to be met for that to happen.